Hey everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to teach you how to make a carousel, and this is actually going to be two videos. It's going to be one on the markup and the CSS, and the next one's going to be on the scripting of the carousel. This carousel will have two arrows to toggle through the items in the carousel, and it's going to have flexbox and then a fallback to browsers that don't support flexbox. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with the HTML. So we're going to create a tag called carousel outer, and this will contain all of our carousel information or tags. And one called carousel, and then we're going to make another, or we're going to make the children of the carousel, and these are going to be the actual carousel items, and we're going to make 9 of them. And we're just going to put text in there, just a counter basically, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And then the last two tags we need, I'm going to put 2 span tags with class of arrow, and the first one's going to have a left arrow, the first one's going to have a right, and then we'll go ahead and give them a class of arrow right and arrow left. Alright, so this is what you should have on the right hand side. You should have basically just a bunch of numbers and then your 2 arrows. And let's go to the styling. Alright, what we're going to do here is we're going to use box sizing for box, and what this does is if we add padding or a border to our elements, it'll be put on the inside, so it won't affect the width of the elements. Otherwise, if we didn't apply this, and if we added a border or padding, it'll apply to the outside of the element. Alright, and let's give the carousel outer a height of 200 pixels and width of 400. And we'll just add a padding of 10 pixels to this. Give the carousel outer a background color. Choose anything you want. You would usually use like images for this, but I'm just going to do colors for time's sake. And you want to add a position relative onto the carousel outer, because on our arrows we're going to position them absolutely, and if we don't add a position relative, it's going to be positioned absolutely with the HTML tag, so it'll position absolutely according to that. And if we do a relative on its parent, it'll position absolutely inside of that element. Alright. And let's go ahead and give this a height of 190 and a width of 190. And give it a lighter background color so you can see it. Now, the first part we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the fallback version that does not support flexbox. So if you watch an earlier video of mine, I teach you how to actually display elements in a line, and that is using display inline block. I have an error somewhere in here. There. I think I have to add the padding somewhere else. I have too much padding. That's what it is. Alright. As you can see, when you display inline block, you get a few extra pixels of spacing in between these, and the way you can fix that is in the parent element. Give it a font size of 0 pixels. and in the children, just set it back to what you want it to be. All right. As you can see, we don't want it to break down into new lines, so the way you can do that is in the carousel parent that actually contains the carousel items. You can go ahead and say white space no wrap, and it'll display them all in a row. And let's go ahead and add a margin of 5 pixels. That might be a little too much here. Let's remove that padding. That looks better. We don't need padding for this example. All right. And now, in the early video, I taught you how to align content vertically without flexbox. So that's what we'll do here. Let's see. And we'll be using the before pseudo elements. And add a text align center to the carousel item. All right. And let's go ahead and style arrows. Well, first, we obviously don't want to be able to see the items extending past the parent. So on the carousel container, just go ahead and say overflow hidden. All right. Now let's style the arrows. And with the span tags, you're going to want to display inline block so you can add a height and width to it. If span elements are displayed inline, and when you have an inline element, you cannot add a height and width to the CSS. So it has to be inline block or a block. All right. And like I said, this is going to be a fallback. So instead of aligning these arrows in the center with flexbox, we're using line height. And then a text align center, which we have up here. Now we have to position these. And we actually don't want it to be top 0. We're going to say a top 50%. And then if our browser supports calc, we'll say 50% minus 15 pixels. So it'll vertically align these absolutely positioned elements. And if your browser doesn't support calc, you'll get the top 50% and it'll just be 15 pixels lower. All right. And then we're going to position the left and right arrows where they belong. All right, that's the styling for that. And now you obviously don't want just your normal pointer when you're hovering over some CSS. You want the user to be able to tell that you're hovering over something that's clickable. So we'll just add a cursor pointer. And now they have the pointer. All right. Now, like I said, we're going to be doing the Flexbox version now. This is the fallback version for older browsers that don't support Flexbox. And we're going to use Modernizer to detect this. So we add a class of Node.js to our HTML tag, and if JavaScript is enabled, Node.js will get replaced with JS. If your browser supports flexbox, the class flexbox will be added to your HTML tag. If it does not support flexbox, no flexbox will be added. All right, so there may be one or two elements that we'll need to add the no flexbox to. Let's see here, the arrow. Because we're going to position the text with a flexbox. And then the carousel item. All right, so let's go ahead and start coding the flexbox version of these. All right, so actually the best thing to do would just be to copy this so we don't have to type it all out again. All right, let's see here. Actually, we're going to want to do this also, the carousel. All right, the carousel will need the flexbox, because instead of doing white space no wrap, we'll say display flex. And as you can see, they're all lined up. Align items, flex. Actually, let's do center. And then justify content. And the flex start will align the items to the left. As you can see, actually, let's do one more thing. Flex wrap, no wrap. So if we have elements that extend past the parent, they won't break into a new line. As you can see, these items shrunk, and we'll deal with that right now. So in this one, there's two ways of doing this. You can add a min width of 190, or you can add a flex basis of 190 and a flex shrink 0 and a flex grow 0, and that'll achieve the same thing. And we'll keep it like this because we're doing the flexbox version of this carousel. All right. And let's go ahead and do an overflow hidden on its parent. All right. So now in the flexbox version of the arrow, we're no longer going to be using calc. No, we are using calc, sorry. We're no longer going to be using line height. And we're going to change display inline-block to display flex. And align items center and justify content center. And that will align your arrows the way they should be aligned in the center of the 30 pixel box. And one more thing we'll need to write the flexbox version for is we actually don't need this pseudo element. So in the flexbox version of the flex item, we'll go ahead and display flex on this. And that will vertically and horizontally align our content within our flexbox items. Or not our flexbox items, but our carousel items. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, and see you next time.